Alright, so I am back out at Pescadero. Kind of breezy, a little bit chilly, but I'm happy to be here. Alright, so I'm thinking of making something of this scene right here, just using the rocks and the patterns in the water as inspiration for some sort of interesting abstract design. I'll be painting over an old painting. This is a 16 by 20 inch panel, and I'll be using my usual limited palette. I'm going to sketch with burnt sienna as usual, but I'm mixing the burnt sienna with some titanium white and cadmium yellow medium so that I have an opaque color. When painting over an old painting, I still like to have those little pops of burnt sienna, but if I do not add the titanium white, then it's just too transparent. It doesn't give me what I'm after, because usually I'm painting the burnt sienna over a white canvas. In this case, I'm not. So anyway, I'm just kind of sketching out the shapes using this mixture. The next step is to block in the darks. All right, I mixed up a dark using some phthalo blue, burnt sienna, and then I dragged some of this warm mix into the dark mix. And at this point, I'm not too particular about the color, just more looking for a dark value to get the shapes established. And I do want to leave bits of the burnt sienna, titanium white sketch. Painting over an old painting can be confusing, but I do find it enjoyable, especially when painting something that has strong abstract qualities, like a seascape or a landscape. All right, I added some more burnt sienna and cadmium yellow medium for the rocks down below because they are a bit warmer in temperature. And now I just added some phthalo to the mix. It's nice to have a variety of darks in the scrub-in. As I mentioned, I'm mostly focusing on values, but it is nice to get some variety of color in the early stages of the painting as well. All right, so I've got this shape more or less masked in. Now I've got to eliminate these old rocks. All right, I've got a gray-green mixture here for the distant water, and I am using liquid today. In my previous video, I was experimenting with different mediums because the liquid can be really strong smelling, but there's a strong breeze out here, so the liquid's really not a problem. And I do like the way it thins the paint and the paint handling that I get with the liquid. For the water in this area, I've added a bit of titanium white and a bit of cadmium yellow medium, just to lighten up and warm up the mix a little bit. There will be a whitewater pattern in here that I'll be putting in next. All right, for the whitewater, I'm starting with titanium white with a touch of ultramarine blue, and I'm just trying to work quickly and apply the paint spontaneously, not overthink it. And there's some whitewater in here. There's actually a rock right there that I forgot to paint in. I don't mind if the colors blend together here. I'm not worried about keeping the color clean at this point. I'm just trying to develop an interesting shadow pattern, or a light and dark pattern is more accurate actually. I think I'd like to have a breaking wave right here, and then down here another one, and so that they're on different angles. So at this point, I've walked back about 10 feet, just looking at the design to make sure that I'm happy with what I'm seeing before I progress. And the next step is to reinforce the darkest darks. When painting on canvas, I could almost get away without using medium, but one of the reasons I use medium when painting on a panel is because I want to make sure that the paint sticks to the panel. When I first started painting, there were times when I would thin the paint with mineral spirits or even just linseed oil, and then I found that later on I could just scrape the paint off the panel. And so I started using liquid, and that creates a really strong bond between the paint and the panel, and I no longer have to worry about that. So the liquid not only thins the paint and allows me to apply it quickly, but it creates a really strong bond and a strong paint film. And it dries quickly. All right, so now I am refining the shapes using thick paint. That's another nice thing about painting over an old painting. It encourages you to use a lot of paint. My method when painting something that has strong abstract qualities is just to squint at the scene, to reduce it to simple shapes, paint quickly, and then step back and take a look at what I've got. And if I like what I see, I leave it. And if not, obviously change it. And then I just keep going, keep building on the shapes until I'm done. It's a very enjoyable process. I would say relaxing even. Whereas if I'm painting in the city, it can be somewhat stressful just because I've got to be careful with the drawing. All right, in reality, this area down here is actually light in value, but I do not want to draw the eye down here by having a light area, so I've darkened it up. I'm always thinking about where I want the eye to go in the painting, and I'd like it to pass over this area and then just head out to sea. All right, I mix up a light blue-green color here using titanium white, phthalo blue, a touch of cadmium yellow medium, and some alizarin crimson. I'm mostly working with grays, but I do want to get some color into the painting, and this blue-green color is really beautiful. It mostly appears in the breaking waves or around the rocks. So stepping back from the painting, this color is really saturated, but there's something kind of interesting about it. I do like it, but I do need to adjust the color of the water around here. I actually do like the value of the water in the distance, but I want to add some wave activity out here, maybe over here as well. Something like that. So I am going back and forth with the lights and the darks here, especially where the lights and darks meet, just trying to define the water line. I put some bits of darker white water close to the rocks. Even though there is no sun today, the white water closest to the rocks is still a bit darker. All right, I've been working on this painting for about an hour. I do not want to overwork it. A lot of times when I'm painting over an old painting, it's fun just to do a quick, spontaneous sketch and then leave it be. So just adding some more white water here, but I'm not going to overwork this painting. I'm not going to do too much more to it. All right, so here is what I finished up with. This painting took just over an hour to complete. It was finished on site. One of the things I'm noticing right away is that when I paint over an old painting, the paintings seem less luminous because I'm not painting over a white panel or a white canvas. And that's something I've been struggling with. I suppose what I could do is use an oil primer to return the painting to white before painting on it again. And so I think I might do that in the future. It does seem that when I paint over an old painting, I'm not able to get the vitality that I get when I paint on a blank white canvas. I used to tone my canvases with burnt sienna, but I stopped doing that because I do like working on a white canvas. After this painting was finished, I did another one. This painting is also painted over an old panel. I spent about a half hour on this painting. I worked really quickly. I used a slightly larger brush. I used a number 10. For the previous painting, I mostly painted it with a number 6 natural bristle flat. This was painted with a number 10 synthetic flat. It's the same view, but I did a slightly different composition, and I decided to include some of the land in the foreground here. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. My show at Studio Gallery in San Francisco is open through the 21st. So if you happen to be in San Francisco, be sure to stop by and check it out. I'll put a link down below to the gallery website, which has images and information. We've also put links to the videos in which the paintings were painted, because most of the paintings in this show were painted in my YouTube videos. So that's kind of a fun feature. So like I said, link down below to check that out. I've also got a Patreon link down below. It's a Patreon support that helps keep me making these videos, and it's much appreciated. So check it out. Other than that, stay creative. I'll see you guys in the next video.